I won't throw it in the waste paper basket. Hi.
Hi. Oh
Turn
my God.
this one on.
This is the good part of the night.
Yay, you can sit.
Where we sit and drink.
Drink? Holy shit. Hey, Whitney, may I have a whiskey? Yes. I think I have whiskey backstage, and I didn't bring it on stage because I didn't want to be tacky. Look at you. Jesus.
That's very funny.
I do have whiskey
Whitney's
backstage, it's
probably... Whitney, are you right there? Can you grab Storm's whiskey from the dressing room?
Thank you.
Yay.
No, it's actually right by the door.
All right.
I was prepared.
So every night of this tour, I've... Oh, it's so small.
Yes, please.
Yes, bring the
Don't
bottle.
be a size queen, Amanda. But yes, I'll take more. Thank you.
So every night of tour, I've had a totally different guest, and there has been a diverse bunch of people on stage. From the first night, I had Amy Cuddy, who's a Harvard Business School and researcher and TED speaker, and we had Peter Sagal the other night, and
Oh, Jesus. Whoa. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. Thank you.
well, cheers.
Cheers, darling.
I'll just take this.
Take that, honey. If you can't be a good influence, much better to be a good cautionary tale.
They should hire us for The View.
We should have our own. We should just call it This View.
We'll call it The Hangover. The View.
The View in. Let me get my tools out.
Oh my God, I don't even really know if we need to talk. There's actually so many things. So Storm is, I actually originally know Storm through Meow Meow, who I know some of you guys probably know. And Meow has a connection with Pink Martini and all of these musicians all over the world, and she and I have shared a lot of friends. And I didn't know that Storm had written a book. I just found that out, and she just gave me a copy, and it looks amazing. And so there's a lot of things that we can talk about, that even just downstairs we were talking about people like entities like book publishers and record labels, and how to deal.
Yeah, just basically that when art, you mentioned this already, I think, when art and commerce come together, it's not only like strange bedfellow, it's like Mother Nature having a three-way with Wall Street and Washington, D.C. It's like the weirdest orgy where everyone's uncomfortable. Wait, this is all ages. Shall I reel it in?
No.
Okay. No,
well, let's
but
ask the children. Do you mind if we talk like this in front of your parents?
I will try. That's actually brilliant. That's perfect.
I stole that from someone. I can't even remember who.
I got this email from Amanda literally a few days ago, and I've been meaning to read The Art of Asking. And like I have a stack of books that I've been meaning to get to, and life happens and you're busy and you get surgery and whatever, and then you wake up in a car and you have a thank you note written on your back and catch up and you're like, where am I? And then you get an email from Amanda Palmer going, read my fucking book, we're gonna talk about it in 2 days. So I recommend definitely reading the book. I got the audio book that she reads herself, and there's beautiful music in it, and it's fantastic. I'm gonna try to talk about the book without ruining it. And I think talking about art and commerce is a very important thing for the people in the audience who are artists or who just, you guys obviously all love art and you love Amanda and you love music, and if you make it yourself or if you just support it by being at places like this, it's important for you guys to understand the process, because myself, not as much as Amanda, but I don't like that wall between the audience and the artist. I think we are all humans, we're all flesh and blood, and we all are connected in every possible way. And the exchange of art to the hearts and the ears and the eyes and the mouths and the bodies of people sitting in the dark is a very intimate one and a very important one. And yes, it costs money because we need to fucking eat and buy whiskey and shoes. Shoes, people!
This poor artist!
Help me! Help me! Just fuck it, okay? God damn it. But anyway, the book I was listening to it. I have to listen to it because I have such bad ADD and dyslexia. So I'll be like, everything looks upside down and backwards and squirrel! But it asks fabulous questions about why artists, and I don't know, it was very female too. We are ashamed to ask for help. Not ashamed to ask for help, ashamed to look like we need anything in relationships, in the exchange of goods and services. There's a fascinating part of your book that isn't even about necessarily music. It's about that, you reiterate that study where women negotiate for the same job as men. I'm going to give it a really simple reiteration here. There was a psychological study where women negotiated.
They're negotiating for a raise.
For a raise. I thought it was for a salary.
Yes, no, you're right. It's for a salary.
You didn't read your
I wrote
fucking
it so
book.
long ago.
I know.
It was years ago, honey.
They're negotiating a salary, and the men are negotiating for top dollar, and the women are just kind of like, really underselling themselves because they don't want to look needy. They want to be wanted, but so they want to be accessible. It's like, maybe if I just give them a handy, I don't want to go all the way, kind of thing. But then when they're negotiating on behalf of someone else, they got flags, they got T-shirts, they got a bullhorn, and they're super supportive. But it's a very female thing.
Yeah, so in this study, they did this study with a bunch of men and women, and they found that when women were asked to negotiate for a salary for a coworker, another woman or another man, they were just as aggressive as the men when they were asking on behalf of others. And that was fascinating. And I also found out something this morning. I did an interview at the Times in London, and it was a piece that this guy is writing about a research study that just came out. It was done by NYU, and they're just starting to do research on crowdfunding because it's so new. And they found that statistically, women are way more successful at crowdfunding than men are on an individual basis, not who owns the company that made the Pebble Watch.
When they ask for themselves or for somebody else?
When they ask for themselves.
Oh.
And he was like, "Oh, you're a chick who made a lot of money. Like, what's the deal?" But of course he was like, "Hello, this is Richard from the Times." And it's something that I've been discussing with a lot of my female friends, and actually this would be a good time to invite Erika out.
Yeah.
Erika, are you back there? I was gonna wait or out here. I was gonna wait longer, but you should fucking come up on stage right now and be introduced, and she left.
No, she didn't.
She didn't leave?
Ah!
Erika, are you in the house?
There's a beautiful little girl. She looks kind of edible. She's very pink. No, she does. She's very pink and very yummy.
She'll arrive. Well, we'll ask her about, because she did a Kickstarter herself. And the thing that sort of gets whispered in the in the bars and the dressing rooms and the dinners that I've had with especially with a lot of my female artist friends is well, women are used to asking for certain kinds of shit from their community because with the things that traditionally, by traditionally, I mean like culturally right now, juggling, this neighborhood community, family, like there is something in there. And whether it's you brought the fruit.
Oh, see? She's yummy.
This is so you guys, this is Erika Moen.
Yeah.
And she brought fruit. And you came just in time for our we should share it. See, look how female we're being.
I know, we're being chicks. Oh, yeah. Yeah, give it. Give it. Ha ha ha.
You should, put the fruit down and grab a mic.
Mic right next to you, sweetie. This way. You get your own.
You get your own.
I thought we were going to share.
If we could share, but you will get pregnant.
A quick introduction. So Erika is actually she was, Whitney knew about her work, and she's would you, comic artist, cartoonist?
Yeah, I just say, I'm a cartoonist. I draw the comic Oh Joy Sex Toy.
Awesome. And also very successful crowdfunder of this amazing book that she just gave me and Storm a copy of, and we were talking about crowdfunding downstairs. So the thing that you just missed is there's a new research study where they basically did a giant search of all these crowdfunding databases, and they found that women are way more successful at crowdfunding.
What?
I didn't know that either.
And they're trying to figure out why.
I think people like to see women in videos.
Well, what exactly are you talking about?
No.
What kind of videos, Erika?
No. I can explain this. This is actually something I've thought about, not in terms of Kickstarter, but in terms of why people read my comics. So I've been doing comics for 15 years, and I do them autobiographically, and I talk about sex, and I talk about the sex I'm having in them. And I talk about really crass, gross stuff. And people are receptive to it. And they're receptive to it, and they're cool with it because it's a chick who's doing it. And if it was a man who was like, hey, guess what? I like sex, they'd be like, ugh, gross. But because it's a lady, they're like, I want to listen to a lady talk about sex. And like people, our culture is trained to look at women in advertisements on TV. Like that's what you look at in an ad.
When it's a company and it's this faceless thing, it's one thing. But when you're going directly, women are easier to trust, maybe, or.
I think our culture has trained us, all of us, to look at women if they're selling something, and like you want to buy that if a woman is saying to buy it.
I think though still true. But I still think the phenomena is women's bodies have been used. Women visually have been used to sell cars and gloves and every possible commodity. Even, I can't remember where I was, but there was like this old drugstore poster, Victorian era, woman in bustier, and she was like holding a plunger. And it was a real
Nothing has changed.
It was a real ad. It was like this hot Victorian chick, and it's like, buy Smith's plungers, they get the shit out. Or something was the caption. And it's been forever that women's, but it's like if the woman in the poster was just like, let me talk to you about plungers. Women aren't necessarily still used. I do think that the paradigm has definitely shifted, and women are more encouraged to represent themselves wholly.
Oh yeah.
Completely. But I don't think first and foremost that in general, at large, in commercial world, that women are, I think when women talk about sex, it still raises eyebrows. When guys talk about sex, it's kind of expected.
Well, I think it's safer, though, when a woman is talking about it. I mean, I don't think it should be, but I think as a culture, people, again,
Well, it's
speaking
safer,
in stereotypes, this isn't like real life and the complexity of humanity, but speaking in stereotypes, like women are more passive, they're more friendly, they're not aggressive. So hey, let me tell you about this sex thing, and you're not going to feel threatened.
Well,
and
and statistically, they probably do commit less aggressive sexual crimes.
Oh, yeah, I guess there's that.
Well, but here, but
Unless
so
you
let's-
pay. I have a plunger.
But if we, that's what that was all about. But if we pull back, like this is, I mean, that's pretty particular to your project. But if we're talking about somebody trying to fund a record album or a film or a dance company or a music festival or whatever it is, I mean, those things aren't sex specific. That's just a woman crowdfunding a thing and a man crowdfunding a thing. And I wonder, I mean, I actually don't have an answer.
Did they do the study of what the percentage of women supporting women was? How many women were giving? Do you know?
No. I
On
mean,
your Kickstarter, does it? I mean, obviously, the folks that give a certain amount, they get a thing. Were they mostly men and women? Men.
well,
were mostly women?
my fan base skews a little bit more female. I would say that, you know, if you looked at those 25,000 people, it was probably like a 70-30 split.
Okay.
But I don't know. That's a guess.
I bet you it
That's
would be
me being
interesting to see
sexist towards my own fan
It'd be
base.
interesting to see what the gender split is on, because I mean, I always give to crowdfunded things because I think it's incredibly brave, and I think, you know, an artist putting out their own art is always going to be a lot truer. And you doing crowdfunding.
Oh, is that for me? In my head,
it's
I
my
was
glass
like, crap,
bit.
I
I'm
didn't bring
just
out my
kidding.
glass.
It'll
But
make
okay.
you such a good kisser. I've read, no. But no, that's I haven't done crowdsourcing yet, but I definitely am. That's going to be my next project.
So one of the other things that's come up sort of as a recurring theme on this whole tour, because pretty much the people on stage have been artists with almost no exceptions. And this conversation has come up around crowdfunding, but and I'm not really sure where this is going to go, but I'm pretty sure it's all going to hang together. It might not. You wrote a book, and from what I've been able to gather from our short conversation about it, based on some painful experiences in your life. A
Yeah.
crazy mom.
Crazy mom, and dealing with basically growing up without any parents, because mom was crazy from the moment I came out of the box. Crazy is a very general term, and for some folks of you guys who are sensitive to mental illness, misnomers or whatever, she was diagnosed with everything, so nobody really knows what exactly it was, but she was always trying to kill herself, every now and then trying to kill me, not in a mean way, just sort of accidentally on the way to one of her own attempts at her own life. But then dad dealing with that, so no parents. And then what do kids do with no parents? You kind of start doing drugs, and you're kind of feral. You become kind of feral. And
I
then
started drawing comics.
that's awesome.
I
Eric
started
and I have
writing
very similar
songs.
background.
That was my coping mechanism.
But yeah, so that was, in general, the story.
You started drawing comics to deal?
To what?
To deal.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, like my house was metaphorically burning down when I was growing up, and the only way I found that I could like have worth and have value was to make people laugh with comics. So like I'm very prolific. I have a shit ton of comics out there, and it's not like, oh yeah, she works so hard. It's like, oh, girl is trying to cope.
Yeah.
You see that, and you see a girl who is struggling.
Well, okay, so this is really interesting, and this is, I mean, I am the same way, pretty much. Like, I loved music, but I also made music to deal, and my music is pretty directly, like, you can tell I'm dealing.
Yeah.
And especially the stuff I was writing as a teenager and in my 20s, it was just like, And then things changed because I found an audience, and all of a sudden, and we all have, because we've all had enough success that it's like, oh my God. And then step 2 is you find people, and you aren't just locked in this box of dealing and making material, and it's only about you and the therapeutic art. All of a sudden, it's a job, and there is this kind of guilt that goes and shame, and I tackle it in the book and try to describe it. But there is something about like putting a price tag on that and feeling really selfish that your therapeutic art and the way that you dealt, even if you want to bring it to an audience, and even if you see people going, oh my God, me too, and this song touched me, and your stuff made me laugh, and your talent is amazing, and you've helped me escape, or whatever positive things are coming from your audience, there's still this voice in your head that's like, I don't actually deserve to be making money from doing this. I enjoy it too much, and it's really helping me, and I should get a real job. And I write in the book, I talk about how it took like years and years and years of me going like, yes, but I'm not a doctor or a lawyer or a programmer or a person with a real job doing something real, and I don't really count. And it was only after years and years and years of doctors, lawyers, programmers, and teachers and people who fixed toilets and built bridges coming up to me after shows going like, I need what you do too.
Yeah.
And And it really, like, I didn't believe they were lying, but it took me a long time to really believe them, that my job was also a job.
When you own it, it took me a long time too, and I'm much older than you. I'm like thousands and thousands of years old. But it took there's the shame and the guilt attached to it. Really, what we do is we take this energy in ourselves, and it seems like it's just something that just sort of happens naturally in us, and it's like, you're gonna pay me for being tall. You know what I mean? But what we do is we
need a model. We need a professional model up here. We're basically paid for being tall.
No, but we're in service. We work in service to folks that cannot necessarily articulate the feelings that they're feeling and the things that they've experienced. And I know that people have come up to you, and they've said, I get it, oh my God, and they relate, and you say things out loud to people, either visually with your visual art or with your written words or with your spoken or sung words. You hit something and you answer questions, or you help people explain things within themselves. And it's a weird living in emotional service to people.
Yeah, and this is one of the things about looking at, artists who are frustrated. I see a lot of artists who try to crowdfund, or, success doesn't happen the way they think it should have. And they don't see themselves in a service position. And those artists are hard for me to understand, because there is this weird thing that happens in culture that seems to build up celebrities as people who aren't in service positions. They're just like fabulous, rich, famous rock stars who get to have all the things because they had the talent. And it's like...
Or not.
Or not.
No, not to be a bitch, but you watch those MTV things and you'll see this fucking palace and you're like, who was that? I'm like, oh, he wrote that song about the toe jam.
But it's all...
That was a good song.
But it's no wonder that, that a teenager wanting to get into music, like I was, it's confusing. You're not told that this is just a job.
Right.
That it's work, and it's like you go make the shoes, you go bake the bread, you go make some songs and entertain us, and everyone's like, all right, I'll go do my job. It's like we've really fucked up the ecosystem of what artists are supposed to be doing to help everybody.
Right.
And how do we fix that? And I think what's been happening with the downfall of the music industry. But, it's happening everywhere. The publishing industry, soon the film industry, one by one, everyone's freaking out, this stuff is going to be free. We're not going to be able to just charge $20 for a CD or $20 for, a book. It's all going to be digitally downloadable. What do we do? And it's like, well, what did we do for the other tens of thousands of years that we didn't have books, CDs, and, recorded music? There was still art, and there was still an emphasis on art being a spiritually important part of life. It was just the formats were different. And I think, we've been drilled to think that art is a thing you buy in a store. And, you know, you may buy a thing in a store, but what you do and what you do and what I do, it's just not about that. And the delivery mechanisms are so fucked up right now, I think people are confused.
Well, it's what you've explored in your book very thoroughly, and why all of you guys are probably here is because of the internet and technology built for profit, built for commerce, built for communication, has eliminated so many middlemen. So you get your art, you demand the art that you want, and you get it in real time. It's like we are so, I mean, yes, there's a lot of things that are terrible about the internet. There are terrible things. There's a lot of casualness with cruelty. There's a lot of anonymity that has given people permission to be really just terrible. But there's also just an instantaneous connection to artists and to singers and to people with great ideas. You can find the truth. Like, I remember when that awful thing was going on in Boston, the bombers. No. But not to shoot the bummer gun. Just going to be a really quick detour. Nobody was watching the news. Everyone was on Twitter. We were getting real news on Ferguson. We're getting real news on feminism, on the politics, what's really going on. It's just fabulous.
It's amazing, and it's a really double-edged sword. The day of the Boston bombing, like the day it happened, I was on Twitter for 9 hours. Like, I just didn't get up. It was like I got to just go into this virtual room with the people in Boston, the people from Boston, the people from all over the world going, what do we do? How can we help? What's going on? And it was like, you know, and there was this umbrella over us. And we got to all feel each other's pain and sort of weirdly, virtually hold each other's hands. And I needed it. Like, I felt, when I walked away from it, I felt lonely. And it's so new. And and we are all so fucked up trying to figure out how to balance it, how to use it, what the etiquette is. And it's also getting scary. You know, like, I'm watching, I did a bunch of interviews this morning, and one of them was also with a UK paper about a bunch of women have come out with books. There's mine, there's Lena Dunham's, there's Laurie Penny, there's Amy Poehler just put it back out, there's Caitlin Moran, and, you know, her question was like, there's all these women who all of a sudden seem like they have all these things to say, and are
All of a sudden.
2014.
I thought women just got their periods and cried.
But I mean, the scary thing I've seen happening just now, like literally just in the past few weeks with Lena Dunham, and just in the past few months with, you know, with me and with Caitlin Moran, and meeting Elizabeth Gilbert and talking to her about going off the internet for a year. Whoa. Because people were so cruel to her about her book. And, you know, and it's also like you're watching all these women get so punished for telling their stories not quite right, and for fucking it up, and being bad feminists, and being bad women, and being, and it's like, how do we possibly make the ecosystem safe enough for everyone to just tell their fucking story the way they know how, and the way they want to?
Well, when you guys were young, and no, when you were, you know, when you guys were little, and women out there, no, when I grew up in Massachusetts, I grew up just down the street from where Amanda grew up, and if you sang or you stood out, no, that was bad. You just want attention, and that's bad. Yeah, okay?
That was the mantra I grew up with.
Yeah, you're not so, who do you think you are? You aren't so special. You aren't a rock star. Rock stars are hot, they're smart, they're better. You know, and I don't think these women are being punished for telling their stories. They're being punished for being visible.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
And I don't like banging the drum of, you know, of like the shrill reactionary feminism that gets such vitriol thrown at it. But you know, men just don't get it the way we do. And if we try to stand out, and we dare, to not be fuckable, well, you know, then God help us. But it's not what they're saying. It has nothing to do with any content in their book or even in their character. It's just that they have a lot of followers and attention.
Right, but the thing that makes me worry, and it's also why it is such a like an extreme pleasure to be able to have a conversation with people who get it. The thing that makes me worry is that there is so much available outrage that I worry at, you know, that younger writers or the art makers or the songwriters or the comic artists or whoever they are going to look at the landscape of what's going on and just go, it's not fucking worth it. It's too dangerous out there. I'm just going to get yelled at. Like, I'd rather go over here and do this. And it's like, you know, I feel like I'm pretty strong. I'm not Teflon, but I can take a lot of criticism and a lot of pain and laugh and keep a pretty strong center. But fucked if I could do that when I was 17 or 18.
Oh
you
my
could knock
God.
me over with a feather.
Yeah.
And I sometimes feel lucky that I couldn't put my songs out and my shit out on the internet when I was 17. I sort of incubated in private because I might have given up. I don't know. It's hard to know. And definitely, I think, you know, 17-year-old me would have also had a different community to go to and maybe a different coping mechanism. But it's definitely scary to see the popularity of the level of outrage and anger that seems to be okay flying around. And I don't know what it is that we can do about it. But
I do. We're going to have a new TV show. It's going to be, no, I've thought about this and I'm serious. I want to have a TV show, a reality-based show called Whack-A-Troll. Because I would wager that 9 times out of 10, you get a bully in the corner. They will not be bullies anymore. In general, bullies, and I don't want to sound like a simpery mush, but I'm a wuss. I'm a big, loud, blustery pussy pants. I am not tough. The things that she went through and that she's still sitting up here and talking and telling her story is got such fucking balls. I've gone through similar things, but not at the level that you've gone through, not at the level of Lena Dunham. I mean, just because Lena Dunham doesn't look like a fucking model, they want her to die. And Howard Stern said that watching her have sex is like being raped. Really? I'll let you know yeah, he said that. He says it several times. And God bless Lena Dunham went on his fucking show. And she's you and Lena Dunham are better people than me. Because I would get on Howard Stern, I'd be like, you want to know what it feels like being raped? I'll show you. I got about 30 pounds on you. It's going to hurt. You will cry. But no, it's, but anyway, Whack-A-Troll, there is no easy answer, but what is happening here tonight is one of the answers, and it's communication, it's conversation, it's awareness. When you keep your eyes on young people, young artists who want to express themselves, don't tell them to be quiet and that they're not good enough, or compare them to other artists and maybe you could be as good as this artist. Just like fucking support them. Just listen to the kids. That's all.
Agreed. So we've got some questions here, and this is going to need to be kind of a speed round, but some of these are really good for all the people on stage. Do you think a person has to be a little mad to be creative?
I've been wondering about that a lot lately, actually. I don't know any normal people. And
Neither do I.
like, for reals though, who's not a little bit off? Like, bankers are weird.
They're all weird.
Mathematicians are real
Very
weird.
weird.
I mean, I guess math is kind of creative though too, on the different side of your brain. But I don't know anybody who's not kind of weird.
I don't either. I
I
mean,
don't want
the
to.
normal people I know are the truly fucked up ones.
Well, that's what they say when there's a serial killer, when they find out that he has like, he has a big box full of human ears under his bed. They're like, oh, he was so normal.
I do think in an interesting way, in a kind of a flip, they're creative people, musicians, whatever, artists, writers. I think they may appear a little crazier, but they're coping using creativity in a way that if they're getting the balance right, adjusts them, creatively, chiropractically, in a way that people who don't have or don't think they have a creative outlet wind up sort of taking all of that anger or sadness or whatever it is, all of the emotion that they can't express, winds up getting sort of sublimated. And you don't necessarily get someone who's mad, but you get someone who's like a little dissociated or a little shut off or a little disconnected, not really there. And yeah, I don't know. I think one of the things that I also think is just so strange about culture nowadays is that, there are people who are artists. And I really don't know anyone who isn't creative in some way. I know people who are afraid to be creative.
Or afraid to admit that what they do is artistic.
Right.
Like, oh, I'm not. Oh, no, I'm not an artist. I'm like, you fucking made that! You made that for me!
No, I feel that way about my tax guy.
Steve Alverdez?
Oh crap, I forgot his name, but he's here in Portland. He's great. But no,
Sandy?
he's on Sandy.
Steve Alverdez. He's the man! He's the man!
No, but he's very creative with taxes and how you allocate everything. And I don't mean that in a sketchy way.
What happens in the dark stays in the dark.
But yeah, his mind is super creative about like how to write off your transportation costs, and you can list it as this instead of travel, and you're like, oh, that's legal, and he's like, it totally is.
Yeah.
There's a section in my book about my mother who, I said very snotty, to her when I was, a teenager. Well, you're not an artist. You're a computer programmer. What do you know about art? And my mom, recently I was in Seattle for a talk at Microsoft, and I got her on the phone and was talking to her. Finally, she was sort of like, I'd never asked her, but she was telling me all these amazing stories from the 70s about being a programmer, a female freelance computer programmer in the 70s. Kicking ass. Single-handedly supporting 2 daughters, had gotten divorced, and was pulling down a hefty freelance salary and had to fight tooth and nail to get paid because there was so much sexism in her workplace. And, we were like a couple of glasses of wine in, and I had this talk to do at Microsoft, and I was like, I'm going to talk about my mom, the programmer, and I need stories, and I'm going to, And she said to me in a moment that I've never really had a moment like that with my mom, and she said, Amanda, you would make fun of me for not being an artist, but I felt like an artist. It was just no one ever, everyone applauds for you every night, but nobody ever clapped when I finished a program. I was like, oh. And, we really do compartmentalize so fucking much by giving, the name to what you do and what you do and what I do and what these people do, but we're all kind of crazy that way. To think that there is the job artist and then everybody else does their thing. I mean, I think that in itself is nuts. And this is another good one, I think, for everyone on stage, and then we should wrap it up. But Someone asked, is it difficult to balance your public and your private personas? And how do you take time for yourself while maintaining your public in-depth presence? And I mean, that's really interesting because social media has changed a lot of that. And it used to be, you know, there was stage, there was press, there was meeting with your public, but there wasn't a possibility for an ongoing conversation because there was no tool for it. But you nodded first. What does it make you think about?
That's something that I'm trying real hard to figure out right now too, actually, because I'm getting real burnt out. Because I overshare on the internet, and that's kind of my thing.
Wait, what do you mean? Because this word fascinates me. Overshare. Yeah, overshare. What does it mean?
Well, okay, so
No reason.
one of my just a couple days ago, I tweeted, "What has 2 thumbs and just got her period 4 days early? This," and then in brackets, "shoves menstrual cup up with 2 thumbs."
That
Menstrual cup?
Oh yeah. I've got one in right now.
What
Would
is
you like to
that?
It's just
Display it.
collecting everything.
Yeah.
I'll empty it out later.
Oh my God. I'm learning
Div-
so much.
There's the Diva Cup, there's the Moon Cup, there's all sorts of cups. If you don't get them in there just right, they leak and it sucks.
Men,
okay,
men, we're sorry. You know what? Hold somebody's hand. Go la 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 la. It's
Okay.
Girls bleed sometimes, but we don't die. We're okay.
You die inside a little every month.
And we try to kill you.
Okay, wait. So no, for reals though.
But that doesn't sound as so much oversharing. It's just funny. You're making a joke.
Can it be both?
No.
Sure.
Well, yeah. Oh, wait. But it's oversharing would suggest that you're uncomfortable.
Oh no, I overshare and it makes other people
Wait,
uncomfortable.
but
That's
define-
good. Right?
So is an overshare something that makes someone else uncomfortable? Is that what makes it an overshare?
Yeah, I think so. I'm totally comfortable talking about my menstrual cup and, oh man, I had diarrhea for like a year solid.
What?
I know, right? It just got
Jesus
better.
Christ! Maybe it's the fucking cup. One girl, one cup. God damn it! I have some tampons. It's fine. Oh, shit.
I'm staying in Portland and starting a TV show with Storm. It'll be like the Price is Right. Whack-a-Troll will just be one feature of the show.
Are you okay?
I think so. No, just the last few months, it got better. I am not having diarrhea every day. I'm super excited.
Do you have giardia?
I think it was anxiety.
Oh, honey.
I know, right?
Okay, so we were talking about oversharing, though. So
Yeah. Are you uncomfortable?
I'm not uncomfortable. I'm
Well,
worried
then I
about
haven't
you.
overshared.
Okay, but why were you're burnt out from oversharing, maybe?
Oh, no, I'm burnt out from the internet.
What?
I'm burnt out from the people who read me oversharing. Like, I just want to make a comment about, like, lol, menstrual cup, lol, diarrhea.
Right.
Like, funny, let's move on. And then, it's just everybody else on the internet who's the problem.
Well, you know, it's what I love. What I love is when someone searches your name, they find you, they have a computer, they have a device where they could look at kitten videos or whatever the fuck they want. They find you, and then they go to something you said and talk about what a dick you are. And who do you think you are? It's like, motherfucker, you found me.
I know, right?
You came to my house to talk shit to me. I have a plunger.
So, I am developing a theory. I was supposed to sign books tonight, by the way. I am going to be signing books tonight. I swear we'll wrap this up at a certain point, but I feel like I could stay up here for hours. Maybe what we now call oversharing used to be called art.
Go on.
Well, if you look at the fiction writers, celebrated memoirists, poets of yore, that's pretty much what they were doing, right? Sharing their emotions, risking their emotions, and saying the things that other people weren't saying about what they were feeling. But, you know, published by Simon and Schuster in a book. Oversharing. But, you know, people could read the oversharing, feel their thing. It was a slower experience, and it was an intimate experience. But, you know, when Robert Frost published his poems about his feelings, there was no comment section. That's stupid. You're in the woods and having
Robert
feelings.
Frost is a homo. Totes first.
We definitely need to wrap it up because this is getting dangerous. Okay, this is a good one. So this is the last question and the speed round. Okay, so start over here and then I'll end. And keep your answer like amazingly short. But I'm assuming we all are gonna have a good answer for this. Tell the story of a fan that you broke up with.
Oh God.
Speed round.
Oh geez, I don't even know. Can we skip me? Can you
Yeah,
go
we can skip you.
and we'll circle back?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Think about it.
Okay.
A fan. The first one that pops into my head. He had been writing long wine-soaked letters to Dante's when I was doing the balls, and Dante's telling everyone that I was his best friend, and I just didn't know it yet. He was my guitar player. He was not my guitar player, but he said he was going to be my guitar player. He was going to be my best. These letters were going on and on and on, and I ignored them. And someone pointed him out to me so I would recognize him, and like, he's really scary, he's kind of creepy. And I was like, he's just sick, whatever. I played a gig at Wilf's, and Wilf's is a place in the train station, and there's all these beautiful arbors and rose bushes. I was loading out of Wilf's, and I was headed into the dark parking lot, and he came charging out of the bushes, lurching towards me, and I just kind of just looked him in the eye. He was not beefy, very tall and lanky, and he said, I think he didn't say actually get any words out, but I said, you and I are not friends. You and I don't know each other. You are not going to play in my band. He goes, well, what about next year? I'm like, no, we're not friends. We have no relationship. We are not in a band. We're not going to be in a band. You don't know me. I don't know you. You need to leave. And he did. I don't recommend that all the time. If someone jumps out at the bushes, get the fucking plunger. Get the plunger and the cup. And whatever you need to do. But this person was ill, and he did not hurt me. Nothing bad, obviously, happened. But yeah, I don't think I ever saw him again.
Ooh. He's like the cartoon stalker jumping out of the bushes.
Yeah, fully. But I think he, instead of like a knife, he had a fucking CD.
Of course.
My CD!
The fastest one that comes to mind is one that I write about in the book. Around the time, you guys remember the New Zealand earthquake in Christchurch?
Oh, yeah.
Devastating earthquake, killed 500 or 600 people. And Christchurch is like a sleepy little city. Not a lot happens there, and it's a very tight community. And I was, as I happened to be that year, like I was just courting natural disaster everywhere I went. I was in Iceland when the volcano exploded, and I was in New Zealand when the earthquake happened. on the way to the airport to go to Christchurch when the news came through and someone texted me, "Don't go to Christchurch." And we went to the airport, and sure enough, every flight had been grounded, and all these families who were waiting to greet the incoming flight from Christchurch were there, like, waiting to see if they're, who was alive. And a girl posted to the Dresden Dolls board, because I had a show that night in Christchurch. It was canceled. The venue was gone. And this girl had lost in the earthquake her mother, her father, and her 3 siblings, and her house. And she was alone. And I just completely collapsed. And I tried to find her. I tried to reach out to her. I sent her my phone number through the board, and she went to stay with an aunt and uncle in Australia. And a few days later, when I was back in Australia, I called her. I talked to her on the phone for an hour. That night at the gig in Melbourne with 2,000 people, we made her a banner like the size of this stage. Everyone sent their love and wrote these messages, and we packed it up and we mailed it to her. And it turned out she was lying. And
Sad.
She was a girl from Australia who had made up this entire story, and I didn't find out until a bunch of newspapers wanted to do a story on it, and I sent them away, and then one of them called me and said, "Amanda, we were researching the story. We called the Red Cross. This girl doesn't exist." And I was like, "Mother." But also, like, emotion number 1, I was like angry and felt taken and felt deceived, and all this energy had been poured out for this girl. But number 2, I was like, it's almost worse. She's almost sadder. That she was so fucked up and lonely and, and nuts that she had to make up this story to be seen and to get love, that she had to lie. And it was devastating. And she kept reaching out to me, and I had to break up with her. I mean, I just put her aside, and that was fucking devastating.
Okay, so my story feels a little more petty in comparison to that. Well, so for those of you who are not familiar with what I do a lot of comics about sex education and just safer sex practices and how to. And I did a bit about phone sexing because we're all doing it, and it was just some general guidelines.
I'm terrible.
Terrible as in you don't or you do?
I'm really bad at it.
I don't love phone sex.
I can give you some tips.
After. Tell your story.
Okay.
I'll call you.
Well, anyway, and so one of the tips I gave was like, hey folks, if your life is gonna have profoundly negative consequences for your naked pictures getting released publicly, which is a very real possibility, then leave out your face and try not to include tattoos and piercings that will be obviously distinguishing characteristics about you. So just, like send the cooch, send the tit, send the dick, just like send that. With consent, don't send that like unsolicited, because that's not cool. But that way, if it gets out, you can be like, that could be anybody's boob, I don't know. And I got this very angry email from a former, well, no, not a former fan. It was I'm a very disappointed in you fan, and I'm gonna try to be your fan after this, but we'll see, because you're on probation. But it was, how dare you face shame those of us
the face
that are
shaming.
proud
What does that
to
mean?
show our faces with our bodies. I have not one, but 2 pieces in an art exhibition that are cross-stitch nude portraits of myself, and I am super proud, but I'm so upset that my former favorite cartoonist would try to face shame me.
Did he write this to you privately, or were other people?
No, this was an email.
Oh, wow.
But and she she used the same phrase over and over, which is like hurt and disgusted, or it was something like that, but over and over, I'm so disappointed. I'm just so hurt and disappointed that you would say that. And I wrote back, like, clearly, in the context of my comic, it was very obvious I was talking about nude images that are being sent to somebody as an act of intimacy and trust.
No, you're a face shamer.
Spoilers.
I'm learning
I face
so
shame.
much today.
Yeah. But no, and I wrote back and I was like, this is about a private, intimate act. That's not, my naked pictures are all over the internet, and I've got my face in them. I've got my name next to them. Like,
Stop Googling right now.
no, you're in for a treat. They are good.
Woo!
And I said, my pictures are all over the internet. Like, I'm obviously cool with that. Like, yeah, I like to see the face with the boobs when it's a picture that's meant to be seen by multiple people. But when it's one-on-one, like, and if it's gonna get out there, and if it will hurt you,
that is an extreme and perfect example of what I see happening every fucking day on the internet, and how easy it is to misconstrue things, and how everybody wants to be outraged at something, and you can frame everything like that, and no
she
bueno.
never wrote back.
But again, it's not, I'm telling
No
you,
big
it's
loss.
not about what you wrote. It's somebody who wants to be heard. It's someone, bullies want to feel better about themselves. Bullies want to feel strong. And, she wanted to feel important, that she wanted to tell you that she was naked somewhere in a gallery and please come see it.
No, and good for her.
Yes, of course.
Like,
But
I would be down to see a nude cross-stitch portrait
I'd
of
be
your
amazed.
naked
Absolutely.
selfie. Like, that sounds kind of awesome.
But a lot of people don't know how to ask. A lot of people don't know how to.
Yes, so we are going to have to wrap things up. I think if there was a lesson to be taken from this, and this is like, this stuff fascinates me, and it's obviously so relevant because we are living on the internet and we're all dealing with this shit all the time. And, especially since I got on Facebook, less than a year ago, and I'm like amazed at the amount of anger and easy outrage there. And like, you're not even allowed to share information without getting scolded and a finger waggled in your face. But, this feels amazing. I feel so, no, really, like, I feel so much happier here talking with a bunch of real human beings and saying things I think I would just never say on Facebook for fear of being misunderstood or my sarcasm being misconstrued or being like, why are you talking about face shaming like that? That's really not funny, Amanda.
That's a real thing,
Face shaming's really important. So, I mean, maybe I am learning something here. Maybe the answer is to just move to Portland and start a TV show. But please, give it up for these ladies. Erika Moen, Storm Large.